But before we begin our discussion, before we start talking a little bit to Dr. Prasad, we have to tell you this. And for the record, today is Sunday, and it's September the 8th, 2024, and it's a few minutes after 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The FDA has not evaluated these statements that we're making right now. You're going to be hearing testimonials. Testimonials are purely anecdotal. Results are atypical. And that simply means that what happens to one person may or may not happen to you. Neither the Healthcare Support Association of America, Engage Global, Dr. Prasad, Jonathan Jones, or any of the authorized representatives, host or co-host, are making claims that the supplements that we talk about will treat or cure any disease state. Only the government can declare a nutritional supplement to be a treatment or cure for disease. This presentation is for information and educational purposes only. It is not intended to be a substitute for a visit to your doctor. We strongly recommend that you seek competent medical advice of professionals that you trust when it comes to your health and your well-being. So that's what we encourage you to do. So that having been said, as you can see, our topic is all about the fact that this month is National Blood Cancer Awareness Month. Seems like every time we look around, there's another month where we need to be made aware of something. And in this case, it's I think it's actually turned out to be a benefit that this month was declared that, because I know me personally, I don't know about you, Bernard or Jeff, but I don't think I would have been taking a closer look at blood cancer if it had not come up on my radar that that's what it was. But here's some of the latest statistics I pulled up, and you can find this online very easy. It doesn't take much to do it, especially with artificial intelligence these days. But in 2003, there was an estimated 184,720 people in the United States diagnosed with some form of blood cancer. And last week, Dr. Prasad helped us to appreciate that they fall into three specific categories: leukemia, lymphoma, or myeloma. So, and these kinds of cancers account for 9.4% of all new blood cancer cases, all new cancer cases. And cancer is still the second leading cause of death in the United States. And as of 2023, 1.63 million people are living with or in remission from some form of blood cancer. Those are just two of the statistics. Here's a couple more. The survival rate is not very good. 5-year survival rate around 87.9%. With acute myeloid leukemia, we're talking about somewhere in the area of 30%. The death rate is still relatively high, 57,380 deaths in the United States in 2023. And leukemia, as you can see, accounted for more than half of those deaths. So what exactly are we talking about with this? Well, last week, Dr. Prasad helped us to understand that when you talk about blood cancer, you're talking about a malignancy that affects the blood cells' ability to function normally. Blood cancers originate in the bone marrow. So when you've got a bone cancer, then you could be knocking on that door. But the bone marrow has a challenge producing healthy, functioning blood cells. And those three main categories, as I mentioned, were leukemia, lymphoma, and myeloma. And that all came from the American Cancer Society. Dr. Prasad commented on that last week. So the blood is critically important. There's no question about that. And I don't think we need to go into too many details with that. Dr. Prasad will maybe give us some clarity on this, but it's vital for transporting nutrients and for helping the immune system to respond. So the link between the blood and the immune system is inseparable. White blood cells, those are the keys for fighting infection. And I thought this kind of was interesting. The difference between leukemia, lymphoma, and myeloma. They behave differently and have different functions in the blood, but we'll get maybe Dr. Prasad to give us a comment on that so we can try to get that clear. So who exactly is this, the man behind the research and the science? Who is this that is qualified to give us an education or any kind of information having to do with a cancer of this type, any kind of cancer for that matter? Well, it's my pleasure, my privilege to introduce to our discussion now Dr. Kedar Prasad. Dr. Prasad has been around the block a few times, and you'll see from this slide. In fact, if you want to, this is the slide you want to take a picture of. Yeah, you can just take a screenshot of this one and it tells you everything because he was the world's first radiation biology PhD, and products that he's formulated have been awarded 10 US patents in various categories of micronutrients. So Dr. Prasad knows a little something about formulating our products. So you're not talking about some college student that has been trained to formulate products. No, you look down to the credential section, you'll see that Dr. Prasad was a professor at University of Colorado School of Medicine for more than 30 years. So this is the professor himself that has formulated these products. So he's eminently qualified to tell us details and facts about how micronutrients play a role in any health matter. Our focus, of course, this month is about blood cancer. So maybe we'll be able to pull out of Dr. Prasad a little bit of the details about the way that cancers are being dealt with today. And then he's going to hone in on exactly how micronutrients can make a difference. Just one other little point that I'd like to point out here about Dr. Prasad. Dr. Prasad was the scientist who discovered that the anti-cancer potency of vitamin E succinate. He also discovered that butyric acid is an anti-cancer agent. So this man knows a little something about cancer, and he knows a little something about the gut. And I'm saying that facetiously about a little something. He knows a tremendous amount on the subject. He's already authored some 35 books now, and have been published close to 300 times in peer review publications, with numerous references to his work in PubMed, the official library of published medical documents in the United States. So, Dr. Prasad, thank you so much, sir, for joining us and coming into our discussion at this time. We appreciate your support.
Thank you, as usual, Jonathan. I always enjoy being with you and Engage family. And cancer is one of my favorite topics. And so I'm happy to answer any questions that might have.
Oh, well, wonderful.
Let's do it.
Wonderful. We got quite a bit that we want you to just give us some kind of an overview of things. Right now, I mean, last week we talked about this blood cancer, and you gave us I mean, that was an eye opener, Dr. Prasad, helping us to understand the genesis of blood cancer, how it comes about, how it forms, that whole oncogene thing. That's just mind-boggling, Dr. Prasad. But conventional medicine takes this approach right here. You want to tell us a little bit about the normal way that they deal with cancer?
Yeah. I mean, as you know, that most widely used cancer treatment modalities are chemotherapy and radiation, not only here, but worldwide. And it has increased for most cancer, 5-year survival rate has produced it in most cancer. But the problem of the current therapy, radiation and chemotherapy, is that is acute side effects. You feel nauseated, diarrhea, fatigue, and so on during treatment. That's one problem. And this is a real challenge for oncologists to how to reduce it.
Right.
They have no idea how to reduce it. And the second problem is that the late adverse effect, which involves occurrence of the primary tumor initially that you have, occurrence of secondary tumor, which is in a new tumor at the same spot. And third is the occurrence of tumor at a site which is further away from the site of radiation or chemotherapy. So this is very important. And why it happens? Because third is very important one. Because what happens when the cell dies, whether the normal cell dies or cancer cell dies, they produce a lot of toxic chemicals, including pro-inflammatory cytokines. Then they go and affect all over the body. And, for example, if somebody is treating the colon cancer and getting radiation chemotherapy, 10 years, 15 years later, he develops melanoma or brain tumor. It has nothing to do with colon cancer. But this is all because what we call in the bystander effect, means it is not directly related to radiation, but the product of the cell when they are dying, they produce these kind of last efforts to hurt us. But in any way, so these are the major problems of the current therapy. If you consider, for example, gene therapy, you develop a mutation, but you can develop against mutation only one agent. But cancer cells have many mutations. So this may not be very effective at all. Looks very sexy, that gene therapy, but effectiveness is very little because cancer cell has many mutations, and addressing one mutation at a time is, plus the drug is very toxic as well. There is immunotherapy. The best,
Really?
yeah. And so genetic therapy, it sounds good, but in a practice, it is not possible to do anything better than what we are getting from chemotherapy and radiation. Only
I've
time I tried gene therapy when they said, oh, they have become resistant to chemo and radiation therapy. Let us try gene therapy.
I got you. I got you. So, um, I think this image right here is AI generated, but it was to illustrate this whole thing about genetic profiling and this whole gene therapy thing. So
Yeah, it's
you're
very
saying that
good. But the
once,
question is, if the cell has, by the time it becomes resistant to radiation and chemotherapy, it has these two agents, chemotherapy and radiation therapy, have induced some more additional mutation.
oh
So
wow,
suppose one prominent that you think physician thinks is good, so you will kill them. No question about it. But while doing so, but you have only 1/100th or 1,000th of the mutation. So this is looks very attractive hypothesis, attractive, but the drug that they use is very toxic, one, and it is not very effective. Maybe not.
my goodness. So Dr. Prasad, this is that's kind of sobering to think that a person could, because I know right now that they're talking about that they are right now in the process of producing and running clinical trials for a vaccine, they call it, for cancer.
Vaccine is good. For example, if you intervene earlier, like some people have virus, kids, especially women, have some, not all cancer of viral origin, some cancer who are of viral origin. Then that virus, you can develop a what you call a vaccine against
Yeah.
that. But if virus has already induced mutation, already causes it is a prevention. From prevention point of view, that's very good strategy. But if the cancer has already developed, induced by virus, it is no more under the control of virus because you have induced a lot of mutation during the process. And therefore, vaccine therapy would be some value where there are few viruses around, because virus is as an initiating agent. So you develop a specific antibody, you can kill them. But once they have formed cancer, virus therapy is not going to be very effective.
So it sounds like if I take these conventional approaches, I'm going to have some benefit, but I could end up chasing my tail, is what you're telling me.
Yeah. And they have, for example, they have produced some survival, but among survivor, those are the risk factor that must be attenuated, must be decreased. And therefore a new approach is needed, which can enhance the effectiveness of radiation therapy and chemotherapy and reduce their toxicity. These are the main goal. If you can achieve this, this will be phenomenal. And also this area of immunotherapy. Immunotherapy is also good if, suppose if you have a solid tumor, that can be applied only probably for solid tumor.
Right.
Solid tumor, like melanoma, for example. If you have melanoma and the same melanoma you have, they grind up and produce the antibody, then that's very effective.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a melanoma from other country, other person, then it is not going to be very effective. It is going to be a lot of side effects. So immunotherapy has limited value, but it is non-toxic approach. And if it is done in the right way, like for example, I have a friend here who is a doctor, and actually he's Chase friend. He has melanoma and went to UCSF and grind up his tumor and re-injected the antibody, and then he was cured.
Oh, wow.
So that's a very specific case. But kind of immunotherapy these days they are using it. They are all developing medical drugs
Right.
to be the original tumor. So I'm of the opinion that it is a good approach that you develop this antibody, but has to be your own tumor, not
I
somebody.
got you. I got you.
Not
So
a-
you really have to have someone that is very, very specific. And that's got to be pretty pricey to be able to do that, too, right? It's very
Yeah,
expensive.
yeah.
Okay. So aside from that, you mentioned earlier that there's tremendous amount of side effects from the normal conventional approach.
Right there you mentioned it. Fatigue, nausea, hair loss, increased risk of infection. Then you have anxiety, depression, and stress because you are going through pain. Pain you have also, and so nutritional support counseling. But at that time, nutritional support, if you have prevention support, is not good, because if you give a nutritional support, for example, you go and buy in the marketplace some vitamin supplement, that will be counterproductive, because while
Right.
you are going through, that will protect both cancer cell and normal cell, and therefore you will be reducing the effectiveness of this therapy.
Right. Gotcha. So that really does not go in your favor at
No.
that point. You really have to focus in on the new strategies that you're going to tell us about here in just a minute.
Nutritional support is good, like, if you have a good diet,
Right.
that's good. That's very good.
Right. So in the long term, I see that it came up here more than once, this thing about emotional support. And right here, quality of life, emotional and physical well-being.
Mhm.
We have been finding out so much, Dr. Prasad, over the past year
Yeah.
or two,
Yeah.
that having a good, positive support, emotional support network
Very
around a
important,
person who's
very
fighting
important.
cancer.
And right now there is no treatment that when they have these kind of things that for example, they will give antidepressant or anti-anxiety drug to help it, but that are toxicity too.
hmm There's toxins to that also. Because if you've got anger around you, and negativity around you, and people who are doubting and
Yeah,
not being positive,
that can increase the risk of developing cancer sooner.
that makes it even worse for you, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Remember that, folks. Maintain a positive disposition. Keep positivity around you. Avoid negativity. And just for the record here, these are just some of the books that Dr. Prasad has written on the subject. And if you just glance at this, you see the word cancer all over the left side, all over the right side here. This man has been writing about cancer and nutrition for a long time. So, Dr. Prasad, tell us a little bit about your novel approach to getting a
Yeah.
better outcome with cancer, because apparently your thinking is not just with solid tumor, but it actually, your hypothesis, it could work with blood cancer as well.
Yeah, it can work with any kind of tumor. Even it works if the tumor has become resistant to every therapy and you say you go and die. But and the tumor is very smart. See, when you are developing the free radical damage produced by radiation and chemotherapy, because they produce so excessive amount of free radical that, but there are some cancer cells are in a process of developing a protective mechanism. And so what happens that when they become resistant, then why they become resistant to all this therapy? Because they develop antioxidant defense system. They increase the glutathione level very markedly because they want to survival of the fittest. Those cancer cells who could not develop the high level of glutathione, then they will die. And those who developed it, they survive. And so, even this is very interesting. The free radical is required for the growth of the cancer cell. And they read it because at the same time, they are developing gradually high glutathione level.
Mm.
So if you measure the normal tissue and cancer tissue, in cancer tissue, they have both elevated. They are producing more free radical, they are producing more glutathione at the same time. So they were very smart for survival. And when they become resistant and they're ready to metastasize all over the place in your body, at that moment, they need an extra free radical. And since they need an extra free radical for growth and metastasis, they also need an extra glutathione level that they themselves make it to survive and grow and metastasize to distant organ. So cancer cell is very, very smart. So what you do, we take care of those kind of issues. So what we found out, it has been known actually for 40 years. I was the first one to, actually Linus Pauling was the first one to show that high dose of individual like vitamin C kills cancer cell, but not normal cell.
Right.
Linus Pauling, 2 Nobel laureates, and became my mentor. But at that time, people said, no, clinician tried to reproduce his work, but not the same way that he did it, and could not confirm it. And so he was denounced and so on. But I said, no, this guy is a Nobel laureate, let me test it on my experimental system. But at that time, we were growing a neuroblastoma, which is childhood brain cancer. And we found that, sure, vitamin C kills cancer cell, but not normal cell at all, both at the same time. And I further extended the work of Linus Pauling. We found that vitamin C, high doses, you have to remember, high doses of vitamin C enhance the effect of radiation and chemotherapy, their cell-killing effect on cancer cell while protect the normal tissue. And this was published in a fancy journal, Proceeding National Academy of Sciences. But in any way, so this was the. And later on, I found out that vitamin E succinate does the same thing individually, and many literature confirmed that. And then, but it was never think that. But later on, I also showed that multiple antioxidant is better than individual antioxidant in terms of killing cancer cell, but not normal cell. But again, this was made in 40 years ago. But oncologists was fearful. The word antioxidant means they will protect it because they only think they knew that it traps, it destroys free radicals. And only thing they knew that chemotherapy and radiation therapy kill cancer cell and normal cell by producing free radicals. So you can understand why they will be there. Not only that, I also demonstrated very early that if you use a low dose of vitamin C, they stimulates the growth of the cancer cell. And
That's
so
not good.
that's further concern of the oncologist fear. That, so I was looking for because mechanism was not known. High dose antioxidant doing like this, low dose doing like this. So nobody was believing it, what amounts to. And so we found that, so I said, let me look if cancer cell requires some specific nutrient for their survival and growth. And so looking for the literature, I found out, sure enough, high doses of antioxidant. First, cancer cell require 2 nutrients must, glucose and glutamine. They must have for survive and growth. So once I found out, the question was, that antioxidant is killing cancer cell by blocking. And indeed, this is what happens. When you use a high dose antioxidant, they will kill cancer cell, but not normal cell. They will enhance the effect of chemotherapy and radiation on a cancer cell, but will protect the normal cell during acute treatment. And so with that in mind, then it becomes that what happens if the cell becomes very resistant to tumor? In this case, it doesn't make difference. As long as you are tumor, whether you are resistant or sensitive to chemotherapy and radiation, makes no difference. You deprive them glucose and glutamine, they will die. And people have demonstrated that many times tumor have become resistant and they are not dying it, but when they use a high dose of antioxidant, they will kill it. And so, I mean, this is, once you know this, it's a common sense that they will die it. And so that's the reason we developed the formulation. We have developed it, and as you know, it has been patented. The high dose antioxidant formulation that I developed. In the meanwhile, people are still suffering. That takes time to go through FDA approval. It takes 5 years.
Oh yeah.
And so it takes time. In the meanwhile, cancer people are suffering and people are dying. So I said, well, interim guideline, it is not exactly same, but at least it will do some good. So I increased the therapeutic dose to micro daily EMF. We call it a high dose antioxidant or therapeutic dose of EMF. And so we said take it 3 times, morning, noon, and evening. And that procedure, even it is a temporary one, it is not the best one, but at least it is high dose antioxidant. And they started benefit. And you saw the last time that he showed that the data from Ecuador. You can send me, if it is allowable, you can send me that data, Jonathan.
Oh, we're going to make sure that you
Melanoma.
get that.
Melanoma data. I mean, those are the kind of things is unbelievable.
That's
And
right.
especially melanoma. Melanoma is not only is a tough tumor, but it is also resistant to chemo and radiation therapy.
Which is
And
probably why the oncologist was recommending that her foot be cut off, because they didn't think they would be able to reconcile the problem.
Yeah.
So,
And
but
so I think, but it's so simple things. And I think that if one of these days during my lifetime or somebody will do after, get approved by FDA, this will change the whole treatment modality of cancer and increase the survival rate. And the per dose, how we'll call per dose, this cost would be $25.
See, and I think that's I think those who are on this call right now, I hope you're listening, and I hope you're listening very, very carefully. Dr. Prasad is making statements here as if, we ask him what day of the week it is or what time it is, because it's just natural to him. And it's a very simple piece of information to him. But look at the screen carefully. This really is groundbreaking, earth-shattering information, what this man has said.
Yeah.
That cancer needs glucose and glutamine in order to survive.
Yes.
And his recommendation allows you to deprive cancer cells of both. So
exactly.
Following these recommendations makes a big can make a huge impact on the outcome of your situation. Doesn't matter what kind of cancer it is, blood, bone, pancreatic, whatever. But Dr. Prasad, Bernard was bragging on what Jeff was going to do for us today. So he slipped and let the cat out the bag, because we really just kind of want that to be a little surprise for the rest of the audience, but that's okay.
Yes, sure.
Bernard got a little bit of Dave Nemelka in him.
Okay.
And but we accept that. We take the good with the bad, the bitter with the sweet, because we love some Bernard. So Jeff, go ahead and rear yourself here. Let's get you up front and center.
Yes.
And give us some insight, Jeff, on these couple of stories that you can share with us. I know one of them is very personal to you.
It is.
And the other one, everybody just needs to know about it. So please share.
Oh my goodness, Jonathan, this just hits so close to home. As you started out your conversation this glorious Sunday afternoon for me, it's just 3 o'clock here in Wyoming. You made a statement about that news that nobody wants to hear, nobody's family wants to hear, because along with that is all the fear, the anxiety. And you talked about the support group that really exists behind those that are going through these procedures. And it hit me right in the heart, because
Oh yeah.
this situation that I'm going to share with everybody here today is that close to home. I mean, we've been working with Dr. Prasad, the micronutrients, the significance of these products now going on 10 years. This is our 10th year, Dr. Prasad. Can you just can you believe it?
Yeah, I know.
And when something like this happens, I mean, it's easier to go out there and help everybody else, but when it's your dad, when it's that close to home, it's
Yep.
it takes on a different tone. And so
That's
Dr.
the one you
Prasad,
don't want to lose.
I know, you know, and I'm gonna have to go back several years. This is over 3 years ago. And this was about that time that Dr. Prasad was suggesting these high dose of micronutrient antioxidants, and the formulation had been created. The MicroDaily EMF had been created, and it was just a natural evolution, a sequence of let's take this, our very best foundational formula, and triple the dose. Not just go from twice a day to 3 times a day, but to in Dad's situation, you suggested, Dr. Prasad, that instead of doing 3 capsules in the morning and 3 capsules in the evening, or on the side of the bottle it says take 3 capsules 2 to 3 times per day, you suggested that in a 24-hour period, he could take as many as 27 capsules versus just that original 6 or 9.
So 9 capsules 3 times a day.
9 capsules 3 times a day. So what I'm going to do though is because people say, well, you know, it's easy for you to come up with that story, but let me share the whole family. So Dad's support network was in place, because that very call that you talked about happened as my brother and my father were headed home from the doctor's office. And they called me and said, Jeff, what can we do? Do you think Dr. Prasad has an answer? And so let me go back to the text message so that I'm actually showing it. And Dr. Prasad, I'll just pull you off of the spotlight so that
Yeah.
it's a little larger for everybody. But this is what we faced, and you'll see the text message right here from my brother, the one who was like responsible for the family trust. And so here it is, May 13th. This is 3 years ago. So looking at this, you can see it right there on your screen. It says, and this goes out to all of my siblings. I'm the oldest of 7. It says, sorry for the delay in getting this out to everyone. Dad had an appointment with the doctor on Wednesday. This was originally going to be the first of 3 IVs of gamma globulin, GammaGuard. However, Medicare insurance denied treatment. So we are meeting with the doctor to find out what is next. Quick side note, Dad is coming off the prednisone, down to 1 pill this week and then off. So we met with the doctor, and he didn't have any good news. He has stopped trying to find out why Dad's bone marrow, and I'll advance it here, is not producing what it should. The doctor's suggestion is to have Dad get a shot in his leg every week for who knows. The shot is Nplate. It's supposed to boost his platelet. That's all I know about the shot. After that news, he talked to Dad about how he feels Dad's maker is calling him home, and has talked to us about hospice. Dad does not want to get the shot, and I've asked Jeff to put together a Zoom meeting Friday night, 8:30ish. Dad is going to be on the call. Dad is also trying MMF, original protocol recommended by Dr. Prasad. I'm not sure about the spelling. My feeling is that this is better than what Dr. Frame is coming up with. So I'll leave it there, everyone, and I'm gonna say this is what we did. That evening, that Friday evening, I got together with all my siblings, and I shared with them Dr. Gregerson. She had put together some live blood slides, and she actually showed the progress. And so when I shared this information, not only with Dad, but when I shared it as part of that Zoom with my siblings, his support group, it just gave them all kinds of hope. And that's really, you want to be in a place of hope when you're going into these treatments. Well, having Dad been given that diagnosis and there be no hope. So what I'd like to do is go back and just, if I could share this video about the blood slides, the same one. So it's just like, Jonathan, I'm taking your audience through this same process that we were able to empower my dad with hope. The same process that we went through as a family, and as he started this protocol that Dr. Prasad recommended.
Beautiful.
I'm going to go back and I'm going to just share this with everyone, and I'll come back in and I'll share the rest of the story with Dad. But really, really significant when we have this kind of an opportunity. Understand that results may vary. This is just experiences of others, but certainly a lot of hope and benefits from it. Here we go with Dr. Gregerson.
Okay, so I'm a naturopath. I'm in Idaho Falls, Idaho. And a lot of the things that we do is to help people balance their body, because a balanced body heals itself. So we use the microscopic, it's called microscopy, and we look at people's live blood as it's working right then. And then we dry the blood, and the way that the blood dries, different enzymes tells us a lot about what's going on in their body. We can find anything from heart sign to lymphatic problems to absorption, to all kinds of different things that we can see in the blood. It is a proven practice. They've been doing this for years. And you just can't argue with live blood that's right in front of you. And we do it so that people can see the live results right then. Well, my daughter's allergic to the capsules that are on the Microdaily EMF. We tried opening the capsules, but the allergy is so bad that there was enough frequency from the capsules that she would still have problems, and she would almost go into anaphylaxis even when we emptied it. So I, for a long time, was really pushing to get this hydro product in because I knew how much she needed it. Well, I haven't checked her blood for a long time, but she happened to be here yesterday, and I took her blood, and as her mom, I just started to cry. It's really bad. So put the first two slides on. This is what we saw. The first slide that you will see there is extremely bad EMF. She lives in Oregon, but she works in Boise. They're just right there on the border, and a lot of EMF around her. I've got her stuff protected as much as I can, but it's just not enough with all the towers. And you can see how the blood cells are sticking together. When they do that, when blood goes through your system, so as your blood needs to go through this microcirculation, it has to go through one cell at a time. And if it's not going through one cell at a time, you're not getting the food in or the garbage out. And with it all coagulated, it's really hard to see. So on the first one, you can see the cells are so stuck to each other. There's no way that's getting in her circulation. She has severe autoimmune. She is barely eating. She's really sick. And that's one reason she came in. On the second slide, it's just another view of the same drop of blood. You can see it's all relayed. But the scary thing about that one, which was in the other one too, but they were so stuck together you couldn't see it, is how misshapen every cell is. They look like water bombs. They look like spiked balls in there. Very few of her cells looked normal. Maybe 10% of all of her blood looked like it had looked normal. They all looked like donuts, which is malnutrition, low B vitamins or low iron. They were all misshapen. And it was really scary for me as her mom to see that. Any patient, this would have scared me, but having be my own daughter was really bad. So we gave her 2 of the Microdailies because I wanted her to try it to see if she could take them now. She tasted it. It didn't bother her. She waited a minute. She drank the whole thing. And 15 minutes later, we checked her blood again because I wanted to see what it would do, never expecting what I'm seeing on this next slide. So here's the after slide. If you look at it, and I mean, I could have taken 15 different pictures of it. You can see the cells are round. They're less stuck together. There's a couple in there that are still stuck, but they're not stuck like they were before. This means that she started getting immediate hydration. She started getting immediate delivery to other parts of her body because it could get into the microcirculation and it could do what our blood's meant to do. So this was all really fun. And I did this while I was doing the call earlier today at 1 o'clock. My Janice does a lot of my blood work, and she was there doing someone else's blood. And on a whim, she decided to see what it would do if.
Where?
Huh?
Oh,
Keep going.
Okay, so we decided to see what it would do if we dried the blood and see what the differences are, because we didn't think to do that yesterday. So while I was on the call, she was doing that. I walked in as soon as we hung up and she said, look at this. And so put the new slides on, the first one or both. Okay, so the one on the left, I circled it and you can see those white spots in there. That can indicate a major amount of cellular declines. It might, sometimes that shows up as a cancer, major inflammation. It does definitely show a degenerative disease. This lady has been pre-diagnosed by an oncologist with cancer, and she's been coming in for body balancing. So she took it 15 minutes later. We took and did the same slide, and the entire patch of blood on that looks like that second picture, the after. It immediately changed how the blood was drying, even in her body. This is huge because we usually wait 2 to 3 weeks to see any kind of a difference at all. I was in shock that we were able to do that. So I didn't send all the slides, but we did it with 2 other people that were there too, and we're getting the same results. So if this can make that big of a change in your body in 15 minutes, what's it going to do if you're drinking it all day long? If you're taking it every day for the next 10 years, it's got to help all of those degenerative diseases. It's got to help that autoimmune that I've been seeing in the blood. I am so excited to see what this looks like in 24 hours or 48 hours or 2 weeks. I just have never seen results like this as long as I've had my practice.
Wow.
Can I ask you one question? The
Yes.
previous slide, that of your daughter's slides, first slide, the blood cell looks like a before treatment, had a lot of vacuoles. Did you see vacuoles
It did.
there?
Tons of them.
Yeah, right there.
More than I've ever seen before, but it wasn't just that, it was the whole slide was
Yeah.
full of.
So that was amazing. There's so much vacuoles there, and then they disappear.
In 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That means that every organ in the body had to be working
Okay.
together in order to do that, because I mean, the blood's going to go through the liver, it's going to go through a lot of places from the time it hits the stomach. So what that's telling me is when it hits your mouth, it immediately is going out sublingually into the body. That's the only way it could have done, is to be absorbed.
Absorption is very quick.
Yeah. I mean, it had to have absorbed so fast to get to the liver and to the everything that's cleaning that blood.
Exciting. Very exciting.
Wasn't that fun to kind of watch Dr. Prasad watching Dr. Prasad? Yeah, but you know, I left that in there, Dr. Prasad and Jonathan, just because that's really what gave my dad the hope. And the rest of it, I mean, it's been difficult over the last 10 years to get family to listen to you, you know. It's because your family, they know you. And let me go on though, because that was enough. That was enough information that we decided as a family to just let's go forward with this. And 2 weeks later, Dad had an appointment back with the doctor. So I'm going to go back to the proof here. This is the these are the text messages that my brother sent out, and this is now June 1st. If you recall the dates at the top of the other text messages, it says May 13th. So now we're June 1st. And this is pretty amazing. Dad just finished seeing Dr. Frame. His platelets have doubled. Yay. He would like to see Dad again on the 13th of July as a follow-up. Dad is in much better spirits with the news. And then we've got way to go, Dad. Fantastic. Looking forward to seeing everyone. It's just amazing how this come about. And then the reason we're saying, hey, we're looking forward to seeing each other in 10 days is because we got together as at a family reunion, and there is Grandpa with my youngest daughter and her two children. And does that look like he's got a foot on a banana peel and the other one in the grave? And then get this. So back to the text messages. This is Dad out shopping. Dad ventured out for a little while on a shopping trip today. This with his walker. He did really well navigating around Dollar Tree. Love the image. That's awesome. Thanks for the pics. Sweet. Hopefully you kept it under the speed limit. and then my sister there at the end. And this is the support group that's around. Wow. Didn't think I'd see that again. And so, Jonathan, I share that with you and with Dr. Prasad. And
That's amazing story, Jeff.
That's wonderful, Jeff. Thank you. Thank you very much for interjecting that. But as much as we love hearing these stories, especially when they have such good results, I hope that our audience is getting it. That this is not just about the joy of family. It's about hopelessness changing to hopefulness and being able to recover what you thought was gone forever.
Yeah.
When you can change that, when you can flip that switch, you saw darkness and now you're seeing light. It's an amazing thing. And we're only talking about, as Dr. Prasad said, for as little as $25 a day. He said with other therapies, but with microdaily, it's only about, who's done the math? Fit $12 a day, $15 a day at the most it would cost? Not even.
We figured with my dad doing the amount that he was doing, it was about $400 a month. And now, because Dr. Prasad knows more even, it's important that they get the probiotics in there as well with the prebiotics. It's important that you get the omegas in there as well. And we've found out since Dad's experience that having the probiotics doubled, having the omegas doubled. I mean, so you're pushing about what, a little over 500 a month, and so break
$15 to $20 at the $15 or so at the most per day to stay alive.
Yeah, I mean, build back, and then it's like Dad didn't always have to stay on that dose. He graduated that back down, just like Dr. Prasad recommended. So
that's beautiful. That's beautiful, Jeff. Thank you very much.
Look forward to seeing everybody. This next weekend we get
next weekend. That's right. It's going to be a beautiful time.
We'll get pictures. Dr. Linda's going to be there as well, and I only wish that Dad could be there. I in full disclosure, he has passed, but it wasn't from the cancer.
Yeah.
So I just have to say thank you, Dr. Prasad, and thanks, Jonathan, for letting me share today.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Dr. Prasad, here's a summary of what you suggested as far as the way that your formula would work.
Yeah, for prevention. Yeah.
So
it will reduce inflammation. It will prevent mutation, and once you have reduced inflammation and oxidative stress, obviously it will prevent mutation because they are the major source of mutations. And of course, prebiotics is so important during aging process that you must reverse it in order to maintain good health while you are growing old. And eventually, everybody has to leave this planet. But before that, you must have a good quality of life.
That's right. That's right. And I did not know nearly as much in the past about the value of probiotics, but
No,
but
I
I'm
think
finding out now.
that's amazing. It is involved, I just sent a paper to publish it and already published it, the value of intestinal dysbiosis with chemotherapy and radiation, how critical it is that doctor should know, at least he give, if not, suppose if you are not available or if you don't want to give antioxidant, at least during therapy, chemo, or
Yeah,
radiation, you must give probiotics.
yeah, yep, yep,
And
yep.
the only thing that we prevent them is don't use the collagen if you have active cancer.
Right. I've
But
heard
omega-3 is okay because omega-3 is required for your general health. Has not
that's
to do with the cancer. But if you are good health, then indirectly it helps. It causes less anxiety and so on. So,
but
so
those doctors who
part,
are commenting
yeah,
on the very thing that you formulated here, especially this bifidobacterium,
yeah.
I'm hearing that thing is crucial to overall health.
It
Uh,
is very important for overall health. And then additionally, many drugs that we use, some older people, radiation, chemotherapy, they also aggravate. Suppose if you are older people, you already have intestinal dysbiosis. On the top of that, forget about if you are getting some kind of medications, that can aggravate the intestinal dysbiosis. Or if you are going through radiation and chemo, that will aggravate further. So it is so critical to take care of reverse intestinal dysbiosis or take probiotics daily to maintain your good health no matter what you are doing.
That's it. That's it. And that's critically important for folks to know that.
Yes,
And
clinically it has been shown.
and they're talking about how basically almost every disease now has a microbiome signature.
Yes, yes,
So if you don't push your microbiome in favor
yeah.
of
Benefit.
biosis and away from dysbiosis, you could be
Yeah.
contributing to your own disease, your own demise.
Disease, or if you are getting treatment, would be interfering with the treatment, effectiveness of the treatment, no matter what
Wow.
you.
Wow. And I hope everybody just really understands that. So if a person is dealing with cancer, this is the combination that you want to go with at the very minimum.
Yeah.
At the very minimum. But you want to do as Jeff did, make sure that you're getting at the very least 3 bottles of the Micro Daily EMF
Yeah.
on a minimum. Okay, so you buy this bundle, which is the basic bundle, and then add to that 2 more bottles of Micro Daily EMF. And then if the budget will allow for it, 1 additional bottle so you can take it for that 3rd time during the day. So that would be taking the triple doses 3 times a day.
If you have
Would be
if you have a cancer.
yes, if a person is fighting cancer. Then you can always add, as Dr. Prasad has mentioned before, the digestive boost for those who need a little extra help.
Especially older people who have digestive problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why for them it is very important.
The
And
CV,
it is also important to reduce your anxiety, depression, and
Yes.
has no toxicity.
that's right. Especially when someone's dealing with cancer, they're going to be dealing with
Yeah,
anxiety.
exactly.
So this will lower the anxiety issues.
Yeah.
If a
and
person has been taking chemo, what about the chemo brain? So brain boost will help with that.
Brain boost during therapy, after therapy, yeah. But during therapy, brain boost is not important.
Okay. And then sleeping well, of course, is
Sleep boost
important.
is always good for everybody, whether you have cancer or not cancer. So
Yep.
sleeping boost
Everyone
is
needs
always
that.
healthy.
And the omega-3.
Four is a must, and then you replace according to your need.
Right. Very good.
Except core 4, except collagen for cancer.
Right. So for overall health, for everyone
Overall
who's
health
dealing with
without cancer, core 4, and then supplement it as you need. If you have an eye problem, then eye boost. If you have brain problem, brain boost. If you have any kind of other boost, digestive problem, or
you can add the boost products to it. So
yeah, boost product depending upon your conditions, what you want.
right. So for everyone who's here now, just keep this in mind. It's the basic bundle. You're not going to talk to the person who invited you here, but it's the basic bundle and add additional Micro Daily for those who are fighting any kind of cancers. But for the rest of us, the core 4, this is
Yeah.
the way to go right here. And the price is unbelievable because Engage Global has made this extremely affordable. If we were to take and just add the ingredients up themselves, it'd be over $1,000. If you just buy the individual 4 products here, it would be more than $310. But and as a distributor, you get it for $250, $240, $250. But they've subsidized it and brought it down to under $200. So just go on subscription for this. If you're not fighting cancer, but you just want optimal health, this is the bundle that you want to go with.
Yeah.
And the benefits of the collagen, Dr. Prasad, just this is our last slide.
Yeah, I mean, collagen is so important because 30% of your total body protein is collagen. That means it present not only in your skin and but all organs in your body. And one of the major function of collagen for your health is to maintain the structural integrity of all your organs, brain, kidney, heart, you name it. And if you lose collagen during aging, and if you are not trying to restore it, then you will suffer all kind of chronic illness. And this has been demonstrated in one clinical study showing that patient with Alzheimer, when they did a MRI, they found their brain is shrinking and a certain area of the brain. So they did a trial and they put a collagen peptide for 90 days and 5 grams. In this case, he was using only 5 grams, which is sufficient, and 90 days. And they found after that, they did MRI again, the structure of the brain improved towards normal, and they didn't, and the memory was very good after the treatment of. So collagen is so important because if the structure of your all organs are maintained nicely, then they will function nicely. And when you grow old, you can see you are losing collagen in your hand, your skin, in your face, sagging and wrinkling, but you don't see what is happening in your heart, what is happening in your brain. So you neglect it.
That's it.
So while you are taking care of your skin, it is also automatically take care of your brain and heart and every organ so that they don't suffer. They perform in a normal function.
There you have it from the professor himself, folks. The reason why those of us who are not fighting cancer would want to have the premium bundle or the core 4. So for those who are fighting a blood cancer, focus on the basic bundle and adding on additional micro daily EMF to support your health concerns. This is all. Remember, the FDA has not evaluated these comments, right? We're not claiming that any of these products will treat or cure any disease state, but you're helping your body do what it does, what it's designed to do. Always seek the competent medical advice of professionals that you trust when making decisions about your health and your well-being. But this is information that is good for educational purposes because Dr. Prasad was the professor at the University of Colorado School of Medicine for some 30 years. So we're hearing and being instructed right at the feet of the professor himself. So thank you again, Dr. Prasad, for all that you have brought to us today. And thank you, Jeff, for sharing those amazing testimonials with us.
Yeah.
If you're wondering about next week, for those of you who are here and you know someone that could have benefited from this discussion, have no fear. We have another week of blood cancer awareness.